The pitch to him. Swing, and he hits a pop-up. At shortstop, Mookie Betts is under it, and he's got it. The Giants have been beaten by L.A. for the second night in a row. Dodgers 6, Giants 3, and the Giants are now 1-4 on this road trip.
Here's your host, Bill Laskey.
Welcome into a Friday edition of Sportsphone KNBR with Bill Laskey, as the Giants are taking a tough road trip as they go 1-4. But let's reminisce. Last Friday we were celebrating. We were going crazy as Patrick Bailey hit a walk-off grand slam to beat the Dodgers on Friday night. Well, the ship started sinking right from there as the Giants are now 1-6 since that game, losing the next 2 games of the Dodgers to going to Arizona, only winning 1 out of 3. And they've lost their last 2 games in Los Angeles. In both games, not getting enough runs. Last night they lose 2-1. Tonight it was 6-3. And it was a celebration for Clayton Kershaw. And, you know, you tip your hat to a pitcher that pitched 18 years. Sure, you know, L.A. and the Dodgers and all the different things of the rivalry. But when you sit back and you watch a Hall of Fame pitcher that he has done for 18 years in the same uniform, it was just outstanding to see what the Dodgers did for him tonight. 2 World Series titles, 3 Cy Young Awards, 1 MVP, 11-time All-Star, 3,000 strikeouts. Just a fabulous career for Clayton Kershaw. And the Giants got to him quick. Elliot Ramos hit a home run, his 18th in the top of the first inning. They scored another run in the 3rd inning with a double by Matt Chapman and a base hit by Flores. But then the kind of ceiling fell in. Robbie Ray was throwing so well. He got it going through the first 4 innings, and he was dazzled. He only threw 63 pitches. He only gave up 1 home run to Miguel Rojas, his first home run since July 19th on an 0-1 fastball, and he was cruising through it very well. The bottom of the order of the L.A. Dodgers kind of started for him. Pages gets a base hit, a walk by Hernandez, and that's really where the trouble started. He had 2 on, and he ended up striking out Rushing. And next thing you know, Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani comes up there with a 2-2 count. And I thought he would elevate the fastball one more time, or maybe even throw a breaking ball, as he got him on 2 fly balls, deep fly balls on elevated fastballs. And he tried to throw one away to Ohtani, and Ohtani hit it to left field. His 52nd home run, a 3-run blast. And the very next pitch, Mookie Betts hit his 20th home run on a fastball. It looked like right down the middle. And Robbie Ray just lost it right then and there. The Giants lost the game in that 5th inning as the Dodgers scored 4 runs. They added another one in the 6th. The Giants added 1 in the 7th, but it wasn't enough to overcome the Dodgers, who are now going into their 13th consecutive playoffs, 13 straight years. The Dodgers are going into the playoffs. And, of course, last year they were World Series champions. A couple more games as the Padres lost today. They're now 4 games behind the Dodgers to win their 12th divisional title. And the Dodgers are starting to get hot here in September going into the playoffs. And when you look at this lineup, the bottom of the order just is starting to score runs and get on base for the top of the order of Ohtani and Betts, and just an offensive explosion. Yesterday, of course, winning 2-1 on an error by Patrick Bailey. Logan Webb threw 1 gem of a game yesterday. They lost 2-1, only getting 1 hit with 10 walks. And tonight, once again, they struck out 14 times, 2 games in a row. The Giants just could not put any balls in play. They ended up getting 8 hits, 3 runs, but not enough to overcome the Dodgers. And, you know, one number that is just really jumping at me today is Rafael Devers striking out 4 times today. This is the 5th time he has struck out 4 times in one game. And this is the number that just I don't know why. 1 for 26 against the L.A. Dodgers since he's put that Giants uniform on. They have his number, and everything is striking out. He's just not putting the ball in play. He ended up getting 1 walk, but 4 strikeouts, 1 for 26 when Rafael Devers is supposed to be the man against the Dodgers, and he has just not produced any kind of numbers against the Dodgers this year. And tomorrow we have to play 2 more games here. The Giants have 2 more games, as they have fallen now 4 games in the wild hunt chase, the wild card chase to the New York Mets, and it's just looking like it's slipping away, as they only have 8 games left, and with the tiebreaker, that's 5 games behind them. And still you have to play the Dodgers twice. You have St. Louis for 3 and Colorado for 3. You're not eliminated yet. That's one thing I can tell you. They're not eliminated yet, but they have to get some wins here. I think that's the main thing, and they just don't have enough spunk going in these games against top contenders. And even at the Diamondbacks, they're losing 2 out of 3 to them, and then coming here and losing the first 2, and now Kai Tang's got to put the fire out against Tyler Glasnow. And of course, Tyler Glasnow's last outing threw extremely well against the Giants, as he went 6 2/3, only giving up 3 hits, 1 earned run. Kai Tang threw the ball very well in Arizona, going 4 innings, only giving up 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. And then we don't know what's going to be on Sunday. It's going to be announced most likely another bullpen game. Maybe Tristan Beck will get another start. We've heard Carson Wisenhunt's been throwing pretty well. He had a rehab start in Sacramento. But you just have to get some pitchers out here as the rotation is this shattered, which is Verlander, Webb, and Ray. And the other 2 spots are getting filled in by bullpen arms or a AAA guy like Kai Tang. So this is where the heartbeat starts beating, because the heartbeat is starting to beat slower than faster, and the Giants are falling fast out of the wild card race. So we'll find out. Every game means more than the next, and like I said, they got to get a win. They got to get a win, and you got to build off that win. Somehow, some way, win the next couple and see what happens, but the offense striking out 28 times in 2 games. This isn't showing that spunk that we saw earlier when they won 7 in a row. So we'll find out tomorrow, 6:10 start. Of course, today's game was on Apple TV. You heard it right here on KNBR. A lot of accolades on, of course, Clayton Kershaw and what he's done in his 18-year career. And one number just pops out at me, which is baseball related. It's always one of those baseball god numbers. Of course, he wore number 22 most of his career. And right now, if he ends his career, he has 222 wins and 97 losses. So, that's one of those numbers, 222, and you're wearing number 22. I just think that's one of those baseball number things that I like. So, anyway, we'll talk more Giants baseball as the show goes on. 415-808-KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines, talk a little Clayton Kershaw. Of course, we're not going to, dive into him. He's a Hall of Famer, no question. They're going to put a statue out of Dodger Stadium. But I still remember when Madison Bumgarner and Clayton Kershaw went one-on-one. Boy, those were some fabulous, fabulous games. And we always loved it when Madison Bumgarner hit home runs off them. Those were the cool moments. All right, I'm Bill Laskey. This is a Sportsphone KNBR Friday show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sportsphone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Clayton Kershaw into his windup. 2-2 pitch. Strike three call. And that was below the knees, according to StatCast, and he got the call. And here comes Dave Roberts. And that is probably it for this final regular season start at Dodger Stadium and the brilliant career of Clayton Kershaw. And he's got teammates out there who have gathered at the mound, and they're all exchanging hugs with the great left-hander. And Dave Roberts stood in foul ground and waited for all of that to take place, and then he walked across the foul line to take the ball from Clayton Kershaw, and Dave Roberts has a big hug with Kershaw.
All right, back on Sportsphone KNBR with Bill Laskey on a Friday. The Giants lose their second game in a row down in L.A. They lose today 6-3, 6 runs, 7 hits, 1 error. For the Dodgers, 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors. For the Giants, 4 home runs were hit in this game, 3 by the Dodgers and 1 by the Giants. Elliot Ramos hitting his 18th on the year. An interesting statistic today came up, and the Giants and the Dodgers have been playing since 1896. 1896, 130 years ago. And with the win by the Dodgers today, the rivalry is now 1,287 wins and 1,287 losses. It's even. How about that? That's an overall record. I saw that and I was just like, that is amazing. This is an amazing stat when you're talking about Dodgers, Giants, and all the rivalries from New York coming out here to the West Coast. 1,287, it's equal. 1,287, 1,287. Both sides are equal with 2 games left, so we'll find out who's going to win and see if that record will stay even, because they might split. Who knows? All right, I'm Bill Laskey. Let's get to the phone lines. Let's go out to Hawaii and talk to my buddy Bert. Bert, how are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, the ship is sinking. We're watching it. They're 1-6 in their last 7, and they had to play good baseball, and they just haven't won games. And if you're trying to chase the New York Mets and the Reds and the Diamondbacks, you got to win, because every loss is putting you farther back. And right now with the tiebreaker, it's -5 with only 8 games back. So it's going to be very difficult for them to get in.
Yeah, you're always good with numbers and stuff, so I'll throw out a number for you. So the tragic number for the Giants right now is 4. So any combination, Giants losses and Mets wins or whatever is 4. So basically in 2 days we could be eliminated. So just throwing that out there. So with that said, we still got a chance, Bill. And
there's always a chance until you're eliminated. That's how we always played it when we were a player. You know, you just kept playing, trying to get wins. But, you know, the other thing, Bert, when you're looking at who's playing who, the Mets are playing Washington for 3 games, then they're playing the Cubs for 3, and they finish with Miami. So, you know, there's holes right there with Washington and Miami. The Cubs have been getting beat by the Reds. The Reds have beat them 2 games in a row. The Reds have Pittsburgh and Milwaukee after that. So with Milwaukee, the last 3 games, you might not have your starting pitchers throw. You might have some guys pulled out because of rest. Those are really the only 2 teams. Arizona has no chance. They got Philly, Dodgers, and the Padres. That's their next games, and they just don't have a chance. Now the Giants, you know, playing St. Louis and Colorado, I really would like to see some good baseball out of them. See if they can put a good push here, get over 500 and have a winning record, and see how this last homestand rolls out.
Yeah, and with your stat about the Dodgers and Giants record, I think for the last 10 years, I think the Dodgers must be about 100 to 10 against the Giants. So it seems the Dodgers always beat the Giants over the last 10 years.
No question. I mean, just look at how strong that team is, Bird, and you know, the top of the order with Ohtani and Betts and Hernandez and Freeman, and then when Max Muncy's in there, that's a lineup that's back in my day when they had Garvey and Lopes and Russell and Say and Socia and Hernandez, and they had a bunch of guys that, you know, back in the day when Dusty Baker was with the Dodgers. It's always been a tough lineup on the offensive side, and that's where you can't match up with the Giants' offense compared to the Dodgers' offense. That's what it really comes down to.
Bill, just regarding the Giants as a whole, I'm just looking at it, and maybe now it's 154 games into the season, and really, the Giants are just an average team. I really don't have any excitement looking forward to next year. I mean, with guys like Chapman, Adames, Devers, Jung-Woo Lee coming back, I mean, they're just basically, right now.
That's your core guys, though. Bert, that's your core
yeah, I know,
guys.
and
that's what they're building off of.
It's
yeah,
sad.
they're building off of that.
I mean, and it's sad. It's real sad, and that's why.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in how Devers has been playing. The hard swings, the swing as hard as I can. I know that's his style of a hitter, but he's punching out so damn much. It's just put the ball in play. When he was in Boston, I thought he hit the left field a lot more than what we've seen in a Giants uniform.
Yeah, and Bill, since we're getting to the end of the season, you've always been gracious to me. For the past 2 years, I've been calling, so I really appreciate that. For what you've done and how you've treated me and all the callers.
I appreciate that, Bert.
And,
well, hey, you're my pal in Hawaii, man. You're my buddy in Hawaii. Every time I see Bert from Hawaii, big boy, you're up in the line. So it's always a pleasure talking to you, Bert. And you know what? I'll be on this weekend and next weekend. I'll be doing the warm-up show Saturday and Sunday. Kerry is getting married, so he's out and about, and so I'll be doing I got some great interviews coming up, Bert, this weekend and next weekend, and some real classic ones, so you'll have to tune in and listen to the extra inning post-game show at night and listen to the warm-up show before the game. A lot of good Giants, Dodgers. I got Eric Caro, Steve Garvey. I did a little bit with Larry Herndon and Chris Spire with the Willie Mack Award. So just some fun interviews and some good baseball talk, and I just want to throw it out there tonight.
Yeah, and Bill, one quick thing. I've
Sure.
been a Giants fan since '71. I'm 61 years old, so I was going through my baseball cards, and I came across these two Bill Laskey cards, one with the Giants and one with the Montreal Expos, and this is 1985, 1986. And then on one of the cards, it says, one of the cards.
My short stint with the Expos, it wasn't fun, let me tell you.
It says, one of the cards says you hurled a shutout versus Expos in your first big league start on April 28, 1982 with your parents in attendance. So, hey, I just wanted to throw those out there. I still have those Bill Laskey cards. You're a great pitcher. I respect you for all that you do. And, again, just thank you, Bill. I mean,
Bert, I appreciate it. And it's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. And if I don't talk to you, have a great winter. And next spring, we'll do it again, Bert. But thank you always for calling in. You've always had great points of interest. And it's always good baseball talk. So, like I say always, aloha, my friend. And it's always a pleasure.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Take care.
All right. Let's go to San Francisco and talk to Don. Don, you're on Sportsphone KNBR on a Friday night. How are you doing tonight, Don?
Oh, well, I'm doing pretty good. But the thing about it is, the doctors make you so disgusted, what I'm talking about when they beat you, what I'm talking about when they beat you. I just so disgusted.
They got a tough team. They really have a tough team, and you look at some of the starting rotation. Their starting rotation is starting to get better. Their bullpen, of course, that's going to be their big problem going through the playoffs. That's been a big stumble point for them. But they may throw a couple starters down there, and I'm sure Dave Roberts has a plan. But this offense they throw out there, Don, is this one after another.
I just don't know how can they find a way to beat those guys. It's just insane. But I
better
want
pitching.
to hear it.
How about that, Don? Better pitching, but you better nibble and you better do different things. Today, the third time around, with Robbie Ray against Ohtani and Betts, he pumped on two more fastballs. Way too many fastballs today. And Ohtani took that last one out, a 2-2 fastball after he threw four of them. And he didn't elevate like the first two times where he got fly balls. He got that out on the outer side corner. It was up a little bit about waist high, but Ohtani's got such good power the opposite way. And that was the pitch that sunk the Giants today.
The thing about it is, like, this year, I don't. If they're like they're not going to make it, I just hope next year it's just not going to be the same old situation. You know what I mean, Bill?
Well, like I just said to Bert, Don, I just want to see some good baseball finishing up the season. I mean, we've had some spurts here. They showed signs to get in the wild card. They really have hit the ball well at times, and now they're back into that slump as they're 1-6 in their last 7 at the time when it should be 6-1. But they just couldn't pull the trigger, and now the ship is sinking, and they just don't have enough games, and that's the issue of it. Hey, they're giving an effort. They're out there fighting every game. We see it, and the pitchers are throwing the best they can. It's just it's not their time of the year right now.
Yeah, okay, Bill. It's nice talking with you. I just hope we can have a good season next thing. We can talk very happy together, you know.
Don, I appreciate your call. It's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend, and have a pleasant night on a Friday. Let's go to Kitty. She's in San Francisco. Kitty, how are you tonight?
Hey, Bill, how are you?
How am I? Well, I hate losing to the Dodgers like every Giants fan, but tonight, coming out of the Giants-Dodger rivalry, I think Kitty, as a baseball fan, as a pitcher for many years I was, to honor Clayton Kershaw for 18 years, it was rewarding to watch this man come off the field. 18 years in the same uniform, and what a performance. Just his family was there. The fans gave him a good standing ovation, and it was something that the Hall of Famer in the future will admire.
No, and I agree. And what I told your producer, I love Kershaw, okay? I've met him a couple times. You remember Don and Charlie's in Arizona?
Well, yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
That was a great place.
Next to him, I know, I sat next to him one time, and his wife and their new baby, and we had the best time. What a nice guy, okay, on and off the field. But here's my question to you, all right? This is kind of a bizarre question. I understand that we wanted to honor him. He's phenomenal. Like you said, 18 years in the same uniform, right? I don't understand, though, and we watched Apple TV Plus to get the game. Why were they allowed to take so much time? And that last pitch, like Kuiper said, that was a ball. It wasn't a strike, so that was kind of embarrassing, I thought. But why in the heck did they get so much time to honor him in the middle of the game? Because right after that, Robbie Ray lost it, gave up 2 home runs. I think the whole mood of the game switched because of the time allotted to honor this man during an MLB
Boy,
game.
Kitty, we thought alike. I thought the same identical thing when he went out there because he didn't have that snap. He didn't have that breaking ball. He threw mostly all fastballs in that bottom of the 5th inning, and that's when they rallied with 4 runs. It seemed like it took more than 15 minutes. It looked like it took 20 minutes. And the thing about it, Dave Roberts walked out there so slow, and Kershaw shaking everybody's hand, hugging everybody, and then Dave Roberts hugging him. You're absolutely right, and I don't know if there's anything Major League Baseball can do about that, but I think it's just the point of honoring this celebrity, honoring this Hall of Famer, and in Los Angeles, it seems like they're going to do it anytime they want. But you're absolutely right,
and it was just bothersome. It bothered me, even though, do you see what I mean? It's a real conflict, right? Because you want it to be honored. But then they show a couple pictures into the Giants dugout, and you're like, what? If I was Bob Melvin, I probably would have ran up and said, hey, can we start the game again? I mean, I wanted to do that as a fan. And you could tell the players, okay, yeah, they're applauding, they're excited, okay, great. But then it got to be too much.
Yeah,
in the
it
middle
got too
of
long.
their ball game. Yeah,
and Kitty, I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing for Robbie Ray because he went out there, he gets the first guy out, a base hit, and then a walk, and then he's at the bottom of the lineup. He gets 2 outs, and then Ohtani comes up, and bing, bang, boom, the game is lost. And you just wonder if there was too much time that he had sitting in there because, as you said it was probably 20 minutes or more. The game just kind of stalled at that time, and the whole celebration was hugs and handshakes and then coming in and then taking a bow. And Yes, he is in honor of it, but maybe you're absolutely right. Maybe they should have pushed it a little quicker.
Yeah, I know. Okay, well, I'm done. I know you have a lot of other callers. Bill, you know I love you. I'm going to be
Kitty,
there.
but you're right.
There.
Kitty, it's a great thought you had. And you know what? Some of the things happen. I've sat in that dugout a few times when the team scores 6-8 runs, and you go out there and you're like, why am I so stiff? You know, why is my shoulder all of a sudden I can't throw? And that little time you're in there, you can't go and start throwing down in the batting cage. You're down there just relaxing. But I get your point, and your point is very right on point with this. And at that bottom of the fifth inning, that's when the game was taken away from the Giants.
Disaster, and they were all soaking wet. It was 75 degrees. It was hot. You know what I mean? It's like L.A. I'm sorry. But you know what, Bill? I'll be there next week. I'll talk to you next week. Go Giants. And
Great.
You know what?
Thanks, Kitty. Thanks for your call.
Hey, Bill.
Thanks for your call, Kitty. I appreciate it. Have a good Friday night. Let's go out to Hayward and talk to Rick. Rick, you're on a Sports Phone Friday night with Bill Laskey. How are you doing out there, Rick?
I'm okay.
Well, you know, it's just the end of the season. End of the season. That's what it's coming down to. And we thought there'd be a little more life with the Giants bats and some wins. And yesterday's game with 10 walks and 1 hit, I mean, that was pathetic. Tonight, again, 14 strikeouts, too many strikeouts and not too many balls in play, and they just couldn't mount an attack.
Yeah, I wanted to call last night, but something was up with the phone line, so I couldn't get through.
Yeah, we had electric engineers in here all night. We had no phones last night, so that was kind of a shorter show, but we got it up and running tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to call so bad. 1 hit, 12 walks, 14 strikeouts. I mean, tonight at least I got 8 hits. But here's the thing, and it's so obvious. They've won 2 out of the last 9 games against Arizona and L.A. They are 12. Well, you mentioned it last night, but they're 12 and 25 against San Diego, L.A., and Arizona. And the rest of the league, or the rest of the MLB,
you're doing the same thing I'm doing. I was just dissecting this with my producer. You know, they're 3-8 against the Dodgers. They're 6-7 against Arizona. They were 3-10 against the Padres, and the only winning team they beat was the Colorado Rockies. They're 8-2.
The Rockies.
But you're so right. They're 20-27, and if you take the 8-2 out of there, the numbers are ugly. And this is the division that you have to get stronger in and compete in, and they haven't.
Well, that's the season, because if you look at that, if you take the 12-25 away, what are they? They're 10 games over 500 against the rest of Major League Baseball. But where do we play? Where do the Giants play? They play in the National League West. And it is just confounding to me that the Giants, and I've been bitching. I'm sorry about that. I've been upset about this a lot since we got Rafi Devers. But Devers is batting 169 in September.
Man.
He's got a 6-12.
It has gone south.
OPS.
Did you hear my numbers against the Dodgers? 1 for 26.
Oh yeah. I mean, against teams where we really need him, he's got 25 strikeouts in the month of September.
Yeah.
I can see now. And granted, we haven't watched him. I haven't watched him. I don't watch Boston Red Sox games, so I don't know anything about Rafi Devers. And most of the people that were commenting about him, especially Clayton Kershaw, when they got him, I remember him in the dugout going, "Oh my God, they got to start now." Yeah,
that was the ESPN Sunday night game. We were watching that together, Rick, no doubt. Yeah.
But the point is that we haven't seen him, so I don't know. And granted, these waves are ridiculous. You have a wave up and a wave down, and a wave up and a wave down. And now that I remember back, I remember Fleming, Dave's brother. And I remember how their tone changed right after the trade to Rafi could do no wrong to, well, just wait and see how Rafi plays. And now that I'm seeing this, I wonder, and granted, we got 8 more years of them, and there's nothing that's going to change that now. it's set in stone, basically. There's no way that they could trade him on the low. And, it's just going to be interesting to see, especially now that we've had Bryce Eldridge in the minors with a year's worth of tutelage at first base. Think about, this is something I've been thinking about for the off season. But think about
I'm
this.
just wondering are we going to see him at first base? That's my next question, and I really would like to know: is he going to play first base in the big leagues, or is he just going to be the designated hitter here? He'll be in mostly all these games. He'll be in the next two games for sure against the Dodgers. Glasnow and Sheehan are both right-handers. He crushed a couple balls in Arizona. Yamamoto had him with the split finger. He had him down. He had his eyesight just perfectly through the fastball up, the split finger down, the balls off the edge. He pitched them really well. And, we'll find out. Eldridge is 6'7", man. He's mammoth in that batter's box. I think he's got a lot of potential, and bringing him up kind of this late in the season, I'm sure they just want to see how he's going to react at big league pitching.
I agree. I think that they just wanted to bring him up for a cup of coffee, kind of like, here's the league, get ready because we want to count on you next year, and spring is going to be a big part of your thing. But here's my point on Bryce, and then I'll hang up and let you talk to other people because basically I don't even want to go into the pitching. Bryce has been tuteled as a first baseman. I mean, they've had three guys in there working with him at first base. They have Rafi Devers now for 8 years. All right, Rafi isn't going to be a DH for 8 years. I mean, and after watching him play in an emergency situation where he didn't even have a rep or have a glove at third base, he looked pretty dang good.
He was.
So,
he really spotted a couple throws at second base and quick hands. He made a couple really nice plays at first base also at times. A couple balls he flipped at a pitcher, covering first, a couple nice plays. He backhand one and flipped it real quick to him. And there has been a good side of him on the field. It's the hard swings and the strikeouts, just swinging so hard. I don't understand why he does that. And if that's his style of hitting, he is going to strike out more because he's vulnerable to the changeup. He's vulnerable to the elevated fastball, and we watch him swing through it all the time.
Yep. I just look at the whole situation with the Giants payroll, and I look at the four guys that your first caller brought up: Chapman, Adames, Devers, and Lee are your top four paying position players. Then you got Webb and you got Ray. The Giants.
You got
I don't think
Roop.
they have
you
much.
got to put Landon Roop in this.
No.
Landon Roop will be back there.
No. All I'm doing is I'm talking about our top six players that make the most money.
Okay.
They make 160 of the 244 million next year is what the threshold is for the top.
I understand what you're saying.
And
sure. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and we've seen spurts of it. We've seen spurts of greatness, but we've also seen spurts of not so good baseball with them. Hitting in the field as well as pitching. But we got to turn the page, Rick. We got to figure out what's going to happen in the off season. I'm just hoping they play better baseball here down the stretch. 8 games left. Finish out the homestand with a winning record and get this 500 record in a positive way. But it's always a pleasure, Rick. I'll be on the weekends, the next 2 weekends, so we can talk more baseball. But thanks for calling on a Friday. All right, we're going to take a quick break on the Sportsphone KNBR show. Come back with more calls. Also, Steve Kroner is going to join me a little later. We'll talk about this game and much, much more about the Giants season. So I'm Bill Laskey. This is Sportsphone KNBR. We'll be right back on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sportsphone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Now here it is. Swing, and there's a high drive. Deep left center field. Way back there. Adios, Pelota. More than halfway up into the bleachers in deep left center to the right of the 375 marker. And the Giants jump ahead 1-0. The 18th home run of the year for Elliot Ramos.
And the sweetest sound to a Giants hitter ears is the boos from the Dodgers fans. And he went back to the slider again. This time Ramos doesn't miss. This was about 10-15 rows deep. And Ramos got all of that one. And welcome to your last game. We're here to play.
All right, back on Sportsphone KNBR with Bill Laskey. That was the first hitter of the game. Elliot Ramos hitting his 18th home run, 431 feet. He hit it 108 miles an hour. He got all that one. There's an 0-2 slider that really didn't go down. It was supposed to be on his back foot, and it hung there. And Elliot Ramos put the Giants up 1-0. He had another run in the third inning. But in the bottom of the fifth inning, the Dodgers came back with 2 home runs, a 3-run home run by Ohtani, and a solo blast by Mookie Betts, back-to-back home runs, and opened the game up as the Dodgers win this game 6-3. They're 87 and 67. They're on to their playoffs, their 13th consecutive year going into the playoffs. And, of course, Dave Roberts was leading them their whole way. Tomorrow, the Giants are going to try to rebound here. The first pitch is a 6:10. Of course, Kai Tang is going to get a start tomorrow. He's 2-4 with a 6.4 earned run average against Tyler Glasnow, the 32-year-old right-hander, 3-3 with a 3.06. His last start was against the Giants, where he went 6 2/3 innings, giving up 3 hits and 1 earned run. Most likely he will be in the rotation for the Dodgers when they get in the playoffs. So another good game tomorrow. We'll see if the Giants can rebound and win tomorrow. And there's another game on Sunday, and that will be at 1:10. Emmett Sheehan will be the starter for the Dodgers. TBA for the Giants, most likely a bullpen game or possibly Carson Wisenhunt coming off the IL. But we'll find out more tomorrow. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. Let's go to Roy in San Leandro. Roy, how are you, my friend? Are you there, Roy? Roy, are you there? Okay. All right, we'll go to Andrea in Berkeley, and we'll see if Roy will pick up. Andrea, how are you tonight on a Friday?
I'm good, Bill. How are you?
Well, a couple tough losses. As I opened the show up last Friday, it was so exciting with Bailey hitting a grand slam and beating the Dodgers on Friday. And I would have never assumed that the Giants would be 1-6 ever since then. With only one game they won in Arizona, I thought the team was playing pretty well at that time. And the ship is sinking. The sales aren't up anymore. They only have 8 games left in the season and literally 5 games back from the New York Mets. So they're not eliminated yet, but they need to put some wins together if they're going to climb back in this wild card race.
Yes. Yeah, no, the season went by fast. And first things first, kudos to KNBR for such an excellent radio broadcast. I listen to KNBR radio broadcast no matter, what station is airing the Giants game. So that was really great. And Kitty hit it right on the head about that long, time honoring Clayton Kershaw. So baseball is good at honoring.
I thought that was really good that Kitty brought that up. That was a good point. I thought the same thing when it was happening. I was like, okay, can we move this along a little faster? You're bringing in a new pitcher, make it a quick pitch, just like a normal time. But they stalled it and honored him, which, again, they should honor him, but he could have easily made that quick and get it going and then let him walk off the field and take his bow. But the way the hugs and the handshakes and it just prolonged that inning. And, of course, in the bottom of the 5th inning, that's when it really took care of Robbie Ray as he gave up 4 runs.
Yeah, you just kind of lose momentum there. So maybe they should have had a separate Clayton Kershaw day. But anyway,
I'm sure they will.
Is what it is, right? And I like what you said, that coincidence, the baseball goddesses about how many wins he has and that he wears number 22. I never heard that.
I think about that. It's just weird how many different guys they retire and a number pops up and it's the number they've been wearing, or something of like that magnitude. And of course, 222 wins, he will retire unless he comes out of the bullpen or gets a start here until the end of the season on the road, because they are on the road. I just don't see him pitching anymore. He might be in the bullpen if needed, but he's not going to get another start. That was their more or less curtain call for him.
Yeah.
And he had a great career, Andrea. I mean, 18 years in the same uniform is fabulous.
Yeah, that's quite unusual these days. And I looked up his chart real quick, and he's March 1988, so right on the cusp of Aries, the spring equinox. So he's got a lot of fire, and he's in his 30s, and, people start rethinking. They're not quite ready for retirement. That's still young, but I can understand where he's coming from. And like you said, it's so rare to be with the same team for that number of years. So, he's very unusual in that way. And like they say, you got to give him his flowers, but not at the Giants' expense. So that was interesting how it worked out that they were playing, the Giants and the Dodgers on the night they honor him, and so on and so forth, how that ended up.
Yeah, and that's how it should be, when you start thinking of numbers and what he's done in his career against the Giants. And, he's had a 2.08 earned run average going into this tonight.
Wow.
And that's 18 years. In 407 innings he's pitched against the Giants. So he has really dominated the Giants in his career. And we think about, Matt Cain and Timmy Lincecum and Madison Bumgarner, all those great battles he went up against those years in 10, 12, and 14. And Kershaw was right in there battling against Buster Posey and Brandon Belt and all the lefties that couldn't touch him. But in the long run, I tip my hat to him because he's had an outstanding career. He'll go down as one of the best left-handers in baseball. They'll have a statue out for him in Dodger Stadium. They'll retire his number, and they should, because he's been that sensational.
Yeah, baseball is good at honoring those that, need to be honored, and it's always nice to be a part of history. But I think it's just very odd how it worked out that the Giants are playing that day. They decide to honor him, and it's just interesting how the baseball gods and goddesses align that up, that the Giants are doing that with the Dodgers. And what was that, an even amount of wins and losses too, Bill?
How about that? 1,287, 1,287, and that's over 130 years. And the last 10 years, just like Bert from Hawaii said, the last 10 years, the Dodgers have definitely beat them more than what the Giant fans want, to put it that way. But in the long run, when you're looking at how many years this rivalry's gone, Andrea, and you're even right now, you got 2 games left this season, so maybe the Giants can win 2 of them and take the lead, but we'll find out. But Andrea, stick around. I'll be on all weekend, so we'll talk more baseball as the Dodger-Giants rivalry continue. And then next weekend against the Colorado Rockies, we'll put it to bed and see how the Giants will fare in the last homestand. But it's a pleasure talking to you on a Friday, Andrea.
Yes, and thank you for your great show.
I appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Bring my buddy in, Steve Kroner. We'll talk more baseball as he's, of course, he's working for college football now. Covers the Cal Bears and the Stanford Cardinals, and he's knee-deep in college football, but he's got an eye also on the Giants baseball. So we'll talk more with Steve Kroner coming up next, right here on the Sports Leader.
The nighttime is the right time for Sportsphone KNBR. Let's go on the sports leader. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
All right, back on Sportsphone KNBR on a Friday night with Bill Laskey. Giants lose their second game in a row to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yesterday they lost 2-1. Today 6-3. They're going to try to change their luck tomorrow. First pitch is 6:10. Kaiwei Tang against Tyler Glasnow. But join me for the warm-up show. We're going to do that starting at 3 o'clock. Got some great guests. I ended up talking to Travis Ishikawa. He was the hitting coach for the San Jose Giants, and this week the San Jose Giants won the California League. I caught up with him on the bus ride back from San Bernardino. It's a pretty cool interview, and he was excited very much. And then I talked to Jerry Harrison Jr. He does pre- and post-game for the Los Angeles Dodgers. We get a little insight on Clayton Kershaw and a couple other players of how they are with real life, more or less outside the clubhouse, and how they interact with people and their charities. It's a cool interview about some of the Dodger players that are on the roster. And then I caught up with Chris Spire. Of course, Chris Spire, back in the day in the 70s, the rivalry with the Dodgers and the Giants were really intense. And also the Willie Mack Award winner. Of course, this homestand, they'll be giving out the Willie Mack Award to a player of this roster. And then Mark Ibanez will kind of recap the season, recap some of the highs and lows. And that's all on the warm-up show. On the post-game show, extra inning post-game show, Ed Halicki and I sit down and talk about his no-hitter, the last one at Candlestick Park, and also some of his rivalry thoughts of the Dodgers and Giants. And then I catch up with Eric Karros. Of course, we see Eric Karros on Fox Sports. He does Saturday Game of the Week. And, of course, he was a Giant killer back in the day when the Dodgers and the Giants fought back. Boy, he was tough in that lineup with Raul Mondesi, Mike Piazza, and we bring in a couple games that he remembers when Brian Johnson hit that home run. So a couple great interviews tomorrow. Looking forward to doing a warm-up show as well as the extra inning post-game show. Coming up next, my buddy on Fridays. Of course, we've been doing this all year. Great person. The Associated Press works with them. Of course, now covering football for the Cal Bears. Let's bring in Steve Kroner. Steve, how are you on a Friday?
Bill, I'm doing okay. How are you, sir?
Hey, this is about the normal time, right, Steve? This is about it. This is when we usually start rapping here on Fridays, 11:15 or later.
Yeah. It's an early late, as Yogi might say.
Well, you know what? You're looking at this team, the Dodgers. 13 consecutive years they're going to the playoffs, and really, a lot of the conversation tonight. Really, it's a smart conversation when Kershaw came out of the game. And how they stall that ceremony for so long, and then Robbie Ray goes out in the bottom of the fifth inning and just happens to give up a couple home runs. But it was in length a little bit too long. And honor him, yes, he had a great career, 18 years. But I see the point of some of the fans tonight talking about it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm kind of in between. On one level, look, it's the guys. He's probably, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're probably going to be in the wild card round. He's got a very good chance of still pitching there, but it won't be a chance to give him the send-off. So giving him a send-off, I thought, was absolutely legit, and the guy has earned it. He's probably the greatest pitcher of this era. You might get an argument from Justin Verlander fans. You might get an argument from Max Scherzer fans, but I think it's probably Kershaw, then Verlander, and I don't know who would go next. But, yeah, it went on a little bit long. But let's be honest, too. Are you surprised about that, either A, because it's the Dodgers, or B, because it's Los Angeles / Hollywood? I think both those organizations have been known to extend celebrations a little bit longer than the rest of us might want.
I agree, and I think the point of it is the game kind of unraveled on Robbie Ray. You and I were texting back and forth. I just didn't understand why he continued to keep throwing Ohtani fastballs. When you looked at what he threw tonight, he threw 84 pitches. 54 fastballs. He didn't throw much breaking balls or off speed the entire night. He did this the other night too. He's kind of gone away from the slider. He's got to go away from the changeup. But I thought at one time he could have used something out of the zone, a breaking ball out of the zone to give Ohtani a different thought than just going pumping fastballs back at him. He got 2 fly balls to center field with elevated fastballs. He threw a couple in that at bat, but that last one was about waist high away. And you and I both talked about it in our text messages. He didn't miss that ball. That ball was roped to left field.
Yeah, Bill, I'm always reticent to question anything you say about pitching. The only thing I'll say is I didn't think the pitch that Ohtani hit for the homer was that bad of a pitch. It was on the outside edge. There's only about 1 or 2 guys in baseball right now who could hit that ball out of the park to left field, and one of them did it. The next pitch to Mookie Betts was a fastball right down the middle. But sometimes again, I'm a little reticent to even question what you're saying. But just from my perspective, Ohtani didn't hit a bad pitch. Now maybe you're probably right in maybe the pitch selection wasn't great, but it was on the outside edge. Again, I don't think many guys are going to – almost nobody in the big is going to hit that ball out of the park as a left-handed hitter, and not a lot of guys are going to get a hit on that period. Sometimes, I mean,
he didn't throw. Like you and I both talked about the pitch selection. I think that's what I'm more or less curious in what he was thinking about. If he was going to continue to keep pumping fastballs, Ohtani, you got to throw him something else. And again, I'm looking 4 curveballs he threw, 9 changeups, 13 pitches only with those 2 pitches the entire game, 17 sliders. So it was mostly fastballs. And when they're looking at tablets inside that dugout, Steve, they're seeing how many fastballs he's throwing. They're looking to see how many. Rojas hitting that 0-1 fastball, it was in, but he connected. That was the first home run he hit since mid-July. So these guys were looking at fastballs, and the third time around, that's when Ohtani and Betts got him. Third time around, you would have thought maybe he would start using other pitches in his pitch selection.
Well, let me just throw this out there completely as conjecture. It's getting to the end of the season, and Bill, again, correct me if I'm wrong, the fastball is probably the easiest pitch on your arm to throw. It's conceivable maybe the Robbie Ray's arm that he doesn't feel quite as comfortable throwing anything other than a fastball. Again, this is simply conjecture, but I don't think it's completely unfounded that maybe he threw so many fastballs because that's probably the easiest on his arm as we get into mid to late September. Fair?
No, you're 100% right. And I did an interview this week, and we were talking about Robbie Ray. And, his last 3 outings, 5 innings, 4 innings, 4 2/3, and he's had long stints, long innings. Today really didn't have many. He had 19-pitch innings, 17 in. So that's pretty good, but he's had times where it's 24, 26. This is his first year where he's gone more than 30 starts since he's had Tommy John. And I think you hit it on the head, just like I did in my interview. I said, the arm's getting tired. He doesn't have length in that arm yet because this is the first time he's pitched this long in probably 2 or 3 years, Steve. So you hit it right on the head about breaking balls because when your arm's tired, you can't get on top of that ball and you can't spin them. And next thing you know, they're a slurve, as they call the slider, a slurve. Or the curveball's not as sharp and it hangs. And I think maybe that's the problem. Maybe the arm and the body is just getting tired. He's 33 years old. That was his 32nd start. He's had 177 2/3 innings going into tonight's game. He throws another 4. I don't know if he'll get to 200, but that's a good length for him for a full year.
No question. Again, in a first year, it might be his first full season, I think, since 2021, if I saw the graphic correctly. It's either 2021 or 2022. So look, all in all, I mean, obviously you start focusing on one game tonight, but all in all, Robbie Ray's had a really good season.
Oh, very good season. Yes, I'm right there with you.
He and Logan Webb have been really solid, and for the last month and a half, 2 months, Justin Verlander's been really solid.
Oh, my. What has gotten into him? He's got second life or something. My goodness, has he been pitching well.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I think earlier in the season when he said that he hadn't decided for sure, but he was leaning toward trying to pitch again next season. I think there probably was a lot of skepticism about that. But he certainly has earned, over the last 6 to 8 weeks, he certainly has earned a look from some team next year. He'll be 43 years old, but, and he's not the Justin Verlander he was at 32 or 33, but he's been really good. Like, again, the last 6 to 8 weeks.
I opened the show, Steve, talking about last Friday, and last Friday he threw against the Dodgers going 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. And that was fabulous as they won that game 5-1. They get smoked 13-7 and 10-2. So what he did that Friday and then what he did in Arizona,
right.
Oh, my goodness. You're talking about a guy 42 years old. He is as dialed in, the curveball snap, and the slider's got that drop on it. And he's throwing 95. It's not 97. And there was a couple games he got that high, but he's still pinpointing and he's still getting outs.
No, I think I heard a post-game interview with him maybe after the game on Wednesday, and he basically said something to the effect of, he in the first couple months, he was questioning himself, and he kept trying to figure out something, and then, maybe the light went on, and that he did figure out something, and since then, the results have been pretty good. Obviously, this season isn't quite over yet, but it's pretty close to being over, and the natural focus is what do you do in 2026? And the Giants have, you figure they have two still really strong starters in Logan Webb and Robbie Ray. But after that, I think the rotation it's up in the air. And again, in mid-July, you wouldn't ever think the Giants are going to be really going after Justin Verlander to come back and pitch again next season. But I certainly don't think it's out of the question now.
I've had many people ask me that over the last couple of weekends. Would I re-sign him? What do you think? $15 million for 1 year. And it really came out, and he said it in one of the post-game shows. Nobody really knocked on my door that hard. The Giants did, and they kind of looked at his physical and what happened in Houston and all the different things that he had, small injuries, and they took a chance on him. $15 million is a lot of money. I really think that $15 million, when you're looking at what he's done this year, if he had any kind of offense, any kind of run support, he's 3-10. That could easily be 500. He could easily have probably 8-9 wins.
He might have more than that. And look, most of the time when he's had these frustrating outings in which he pitches really well and doesn't get a lot of run support, it's been the offensive problem. But he's also had a few times when the bullpen, which for the Giants for the first 4 months was really good, the rare times when it wasn't good, it happened to be when Justin Verlander was having to start. So he's had the double whammy of not getting a whole lot of offensive support and not getting a whole lot of support from the bullpen. Now, he did get support from the bullpen in his last 2 starts in Arizona in the game last Friday night against the Dodgers. But I mean, you say he could have 8 or 9 wins. I really think he could have 12 to 15 wins without, changing the narrative a whole lot.
Especially since the All-Star break. He's been dominant every game.
Yeah.
Steve Kroner joining me on the Sportsphone KNBR show for a few more minutes. I want to get your thoughts about Bryce Eldridge. Of course, hasn't got a hit yet, but he's been hitting the ball pretty well. A couple balls in Arizona probably would have been home runs at different ballparks, but they weren't. What have you seen out of him that you like?
Well, Bill, I'll disclose trade secrets a little bit. I write for Baseball America once a month, and one of the things we have to do is pick a organization player of the year. And I picked Bryce Eldridge again for the second year in a row, really close between him and Bo Davidson, who's had a hell of a year. And I picked, and Davidson's numbers across the board are probably a little better than Bryce's. But I picked Bryce, because he had so many expectations thrust upon him. And secondly, he was doing it at a higher level, too. But so last week, I spoke with Randy Wynn to write the story about Bryce Eldridge being the organization player of the year. And I asked Randy, and this is the second year in a row Bryce has won it. I say, is it fair to say you don't want him to win it 3 years in a row? And Randy kind of laughed. And then he said, well, I'll give you the political answer. The political answer is if it meant that if he won it 3 years in a row, if it meant that ensured him having a longer, better career in San Francisco, he could live with that. But then Randy said, in essence, no, we don't want him to be the player of the year 3 years in a row. We basically want him as long as he's ready. And I asked him, well, you've got Rafael Devers. And Randy said, well, thank God that the National League now has the DH. He obviously, there's a lot of things that can change between now and late March of next season. But he certainly said it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for the Giants for Eldridge and Devers to basically split first base and DH. I think that's certainly a possibility.
I was just wondering if he will get some first base play now, going against maybe coming home St. Louis and Colorado at Oracle Park a little bit, similar things that he's worked at, and he's been at Oracle Park several times. Maybe they didn't want to put him in Arizona, or he may never know. They'd be surprised they'll be playing tomorrow at first base.
Yeah, right.
They've been kind of flip-flopping Devers. Of course, Smith's on the IL. It doesn't look like he's going to come back, but maybe we will see. We might see Bryce Eldridge. But I got another point of interest I want to ask you about.
Okay.
Wilmer Flores and Matt Chapman, right? Who do you think is having a better offensive year?
That's a really good one. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I know. That's why I'm saying you don't have the numbers in front of you. I'm catching you on a quick question here.
I could get on my computer and look, but off the top of my head, I would say barely Matt Chapman, because Chapman. Okay.
No, not at all. I mean, and this surprised me. It really did. He's got him on home runs 21-16. Flores has 70 RBIs at 58. And they both had 99 hits going into today's game, and they both got their 100th hit. But Flores only had 400 at-bats compared to 425 by Chapman. And that was what surprised me. And we knew Chapman was hurt, and we knew Flores got to that great start in the beginning of the year. But when I started looking at my numbers, they're 242 to 234 going into tonight's game. Of course, Chapman, who was 2 for 5, Flores was 1 for 4. I really didn't see that. I really thought Matt Chapman had a better offensive season going. And really, when you start looking at the numbers, Flores does.
Well, let me ask you, if you have him there, what about on-base percentage? Because Matt Chapman does strike out a lot, but he also does walk a lot.
Yeah, gives a lot of walks. No, I don't have that. I was just looking at my numbers going into the Gays game with at-bats and hits, and they were both at 99 hits, and I was looking at the numbers at-bats and how long Chapman was out in Flores. But in the long run, I would have thought the same thing. Matt Chapman was outdoing him, and when the numbers come up, he's got him by almost 10 points in batting average. Wilmer Flores does make good hits. He's got good contact. He's a great pinch hitter. That's going to be a big question. Do you bring him back next year?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I mean, I don't – if you brought him back, I don't think you'd want him to play as much as he's played. I mean, that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I think he's better. And I think Bob Melvin has sort of intimated this, that I think Wilmer is better at this stage in his career as maybe a guy who starts twice a week. And then you got him coming off the bench 2 or 3 other times a week.
Yeah,
as a pinch hitter.
Pinch hitter or DH from the right side, things like that.
Yeah.
Very inexpensive still. His numbers are still not major, more money than you could spend on him. I think he's in the negative side a little bit less that you could get him for, but he's still got that experience. He's a great person in the clubhouse. He handles the Latin players well. Bob Melvin loves him. Buster Posey loves him. And that's going to be one of those names that are going to see if he makes that club or not. Yeah,
I mean, I think you just mentioned another guy, Dominic Smith. Now, he hasn't been around here as long as Wilmer. So Wilmer has, he has the fan favorite part of him, and he's got 6 years of good service to the Giants. It's like, how many of these guys can you keep? And B, let's be honest, too, as much as they've produced, the Giants are 2 games under 500. They probably do need to change some things. So I don't, would it be good for the Giants to be able to keep both of those guys next season? Sure, in a vacuum, but I think in the real world, I'd be surprised if they could keep both of them. Can they keep one of them? I think that's doable. Whether
it's going to be interesting how they're going to break this roster down. That's going to be the big thing. And then you got some young players coming up. They're taking a good look at Drew Gilbert in the outfield. He's definitely fantastic on the defensive side.
Yes.
The hitting will come around. You can see that out of him. But the defensive side, very impressive. And when he played in center field in Arizona today, also played center field. He's got good, quick breaks, and he's got a pretty good arm.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I've seen him only in right field until the last few days, and he looked confident, put it that way, in center field. He didn't look like, sometimes guys who are out there and they haven't played there a lot, they can be kind of tentative. He did not look tentative at all, and he looked like he could cover some ground.
Well, Steve, 8 games left. Can they get over 500? Can they do a push here to have some good, solid baseball in this next homestand? I think they can. I think that's what Bob Melvin, Buster Posey would like to see the season end on a couple winning series against St. Louis and beat up on Colorado on that final weekend. Something to leave the fans with a positive attitude for next year. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. But let's be honest, too. If they don't win at least one of the next 2 games in L.A., the games next week against the Cardinals and the Rockies might officially be meaningless by the time the first pitch comes against the Cardinals. A week or two ago we were talking about how even if the Giants didn't make the playoffs, when they had made that 14-4 run, that they could feel good about themselves going into next season. Well, the way this week has gone, I think you're absolutely right, Bill. I think they need to win a few games in the next 8 just to feel decent about themselves going into next season. I don't think there's a whole lot of momentum that carries from September to late March, but there is kind of a thought of, well, if we did this in September, we might be able to do it over the next 162 next season. But if you end the season the way this week has gone, I don't think you're going to have a lot of confidence in the clubhouse or in the front office that next season is going to be better.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important they play good baseball. I think that's what both you and I are thinking. But, Steve, thanks for your time again tonight. We'll do it again next Friday against the Rockies and close out the season. But, again, thanks for your time on a Friday night, Mr. Kroner.
Bill, it's 1:45, and we're just getting started.
Steve Kroner on Sportsphone KNBR as we close out the show. Giants lose today 6-3. They're now 76-78 going into tomorrow's game. First pitch at 6:10. Kaiwei Tang against Tyler Glasnow. Join me on the warm-up show. I'll be doing the warm-up show starting at 3 p.m. till 5, and then doing the extra inning post-game show after. A lot of good guests, a lot of great interviews. I want to thank my producer tonight, Kyle Haar, of course. He'll join me tomorrow. And you can hear Steve Kroner in that interview. He'll be on the All KNBR podcast. I thank you, Giants fans, all around the United States calling in and out in Hawaii with Bert. But we'll do it again tomorrow. And extra innings will put on some more phone calls, and we'll talk more Giants baseball as there's 8 games left in the 2025 season. And we'll see if the Giants can put them out, get some wins here. I'm Bill Laskey. This has been the Sportsphone KNBR Friday Night Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.